Hey, this is a video for 1.3, Aquatic Biomes. So check out the overview, set up your guided notes. So we're talking now about freshwater biomes. The first one we're discussing is rivers and streams. These have low salinity. River and stream is a flowing water that is providing oxygenation. Rivers tend to be larger than streams. For water quality tests, they will have variable turbidity, and the turbidity is going to be depending upon the flow. And it can also depend on the organic material that is present. Now, if you have a fast-flowing waterway, you will have higher levels of dissolved oxygen, and slow-flowing waterways will have lower levels of dissolved oxygen. And likewise, remember that warm water holds less oxygen. As bodies of water become warmer, the oxygen will evaporate. Now, the typical plant adaptations or common plant adaptations, the plants will attach to the riverbed or somehow attach to maybe the rocks or near the rocks in the river or stream. And we also have adaptations on the riparian zone, and that is the floodplain. So that is the area at the banks, at the shore of the river. So the trees are providing nutrients and shade. They're providing nutrients in the form of leaf litter. They're providing shade from the leaves as well. And remember, cooler water holds more oxygen. Now, the animal adaptations, you're going to have rivers and streams are going to be very important in fish migration, especially in the life cycle of salmon. You will also have a lot of macroinvertebrates. And macroinvertebrates just means large invertebrates. Now, that doesn't mean big like, alligator size. It means large like insect larvae, like dragonfly larvae. You'll have caddisfly larvae. You'll have leeches. You'll have snails. You'll have water bugs, things like that. Now, they are going to be adapted for specific conditions, and since they are adapted for specific conditions, this can also cause them to be an indicator species. They can indicate levels of pollution. They can indicate water quality as well. So another type of freshwater biome is a lake and a pond. And in lakes and ponds, we have 4 different zones that you need to know. We have the limnetic zone and the profundal zone. The limnetic zone is where you're going to see fish. The profundal zone will be at the bottom. Typically, light does not reach down to the profundal zone. Lakes and ponds, the nutrients are going to determine the productivity. Where it is very, very high levels of productivity are going to be found in the littoral zone. And this is the shoreline. And we also have the benthic zone. And anytime you see the word benthic, it just means bottom. Now, for water quality, the lower temperature means higher oxygen. So cold lakes will have more oxygen. When you have an oligotrophic lake, it is very low levels of turbidity. And a eutrophic lake will have high levels of turbidity. We will be talking about eutrophication. That will be a term that you will see throughout this entire course. Now, adaptations for plants. You will have emergent plants in the littoral zone, and you will have floating or tethered plants in the limnetic zone. Animal adaptations. The benthic organisms are going to be adapted for low levels of oxygen because there will be less productivity down there. If any, the oxygen levels will be quite low. And the food webs are really going to be influenced by the activity and the productivity in the littoral zones. Now, another type of freshwater biome are wetlands, and we have 3 types of wetlands. The first one is a bog, and a bog is when we have acidic conditions. You see you have some trees. This was taken in Minnesota when I went home, and these are emergent trees. Now, you're not always going to see trees. But with bogs, the water quality is there's going to be a very high organic content. So there will be a lot of dissolved organic nitrogen, a lot of dissolved organic carbon, and a lot of dissolved organic phosphorus. Now, adaptations for plants, there's going to be very sparse tree growth, but the plants have to be adapted for low pH. So you will find a lot of sphagnum moss that is present. That is a special type of moss that is adapted to live in these acidic conditions. And also it serves as a carbon sink. It locks away carbon for many years. Other plants that you might find here is you find a lot of like Venus flytrap. You'll find pitcher plants, plants that aren't able to survive or are able to survive in nutrient poor conditions. Animal adaptations, you're going to have bogs are just going to be, a lot of them will be nesting sites for many different organisms, birds included. Another type of wetland is a swamp, and swamps are freshwater wetlands with emergent woody plants. So you see you have trees here, you're going to find trees in a swamp. Water quality, you're going to have variable water levels depending on the time of year or the water flow, whether it's flowing in or out. And as a result, the oxygen levels will also be variable because they will vary based on the productivity. And the turbidity levels are going to depend on the vegetation that is present. Some plant adaptations, you will have emergent woody plants, but you will also have some floating tethered plants. And because all these conditions are constantly changing, the plants are adapted to changing water and oxygen levels. Now, animal adaptations, animals will have webbed feet, like ducks. Alligators are found in swamps as well. A lot of them will have clear eyelids, so they can see when they are underwater. And organisms, especially mammals and birds, will be waterproof, and they will have camouflage fur or feathers. Now, the last type of wetland is a marsh, and marshes are wetlands with emergent non-woody plants. So these are going to be the difference, again, between swamp and marsh is marshes have non-woody plants and swamps have woody plants. The water qualities are relatively similar. You're going to have variable water levels. As a result, there will be variable levels of oxygen. And again, the turbidity will depend upon the vegetation. You're going to have emergent non-woody plants. But the plants that are in the open water areas are going to be floating or tethered, like you see here, and they also will be adapted to changing water and oxygen levels. The animals, again, will have webbed feet, clear eyelids, and waterproof or camouflaged fur or feathers. So what I would like you to do is practice your check for understanding by completing this practice problem set 1.3b. I hope that this video is informative. I thank you for your attention, and I'll see you soon.